Jagrudev, so what do you think about the role of modern technology and social media in promoting these practices in Kannada? Yes, Jagrudev, modern technology is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can fragment and dilute the essence of our traditions, but on the other hand, it offers immense opportunities for reaching people on a large scale. Social media platforms, YouTube, and digital spaces can serve as powerful mediums to transmit the spiritual and literary wisdom of Kannada. We have already begun recording Gurudev's lectures and translating them into Kannada, and these are shared across various platforms. This has reached audiences that otherwise wouldn't have had access to his teachings. Imagine someone in a remote village in Karnataka watching a live satsang in Kannada, where Gurudev speaks about spiritual wisdom and personal growth. This provides an immediacy and accessibility that traditional methods can't always match. Moreover, the Art of Living's e-learning platforms have made it easier for Kannada-speaking individuals to attend online courses, ensuring that the teachings reach those who may not be able to attend in person. There is also a growing presence of Kannada devotional music and shlokas on platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. When youth hear these chants in Kannada, they not only enjoy the rhythm but also absorb the spiritual essence and language of their ancestors. Can you elaborate on the role of Ayurvedic cooking in revitalizing Kannada cultural traditions? Yes, Ayurvedic cooking is an integral part of the holistic lifestyle promoted by Gurudev, and its importance in preserving Kannada traditions cannot be overstated. Karnataka, like much of South India, has a long tradition of using local herbs, spices, and food preparation methods that are deeply linked to Ayurveda. In our Art of Living centers, we conduct Ayurvedic cooking workshops where participants learn to prepare dishes based on their doshas or body constitution and the seasons. These workshops are focused on reviving traditional Kannada dishes like ragi mote, sambar, and nee dosa. We explain how these dishes are aligned with Ayurvedic principles of balancing the body's energies. Through this, we help participants understand how food connects not only to physical well being but also to mental and spiritual health. Our cooking sessions also emphasize the importance of sattvic or pure balanced food, which nourishes the mind and helps one in their spiritual practices. As the youth becomes increasingly disconnected from traditional home cooked food, reviving these practices not only preserves Kannada cuisine but also helps ensure that people live in harmony with the natural rhythms of the body and the environment. Can you tell us more about Upanayana and Guru Puja in Kannada and how they play a role in cultural preservation? Yes, Upanayana is one of the most sacred rituals in Vedic tradition. It marks the initiation of a young boy into a formal learning and spiritual discipline. In Kannada culture, the rituals surrounding Upanayana are very specific, often done with mantras that have deep meaning and are rich in historical significance. When conducted in Kannada, it strengthens the cultural fabric of the community. For instance, we make sure that the Gayatri Mantra and other prayers are taught in Kannada, which enhances the child's connection to their heritage. Additionally, Guru Puja is a very important ceremony in Art of Living. Guru Tattva is considered the highest form of energy in our tradition. When we perform Guru Puja in Kannada, the words of the puja echo the same essence as our Vedic ancestors would have intended. There is something profoundly transformative about chanting shlokas and mantras in your native language because the connection becomes more personal. In Art of Living centers, we encourage participants to conduct Guru Puja in Kannada and to remember their spiritual roots while practicing daily sadhanas. Finally, what is your message to the youth of Karnataka regarding preserving their cultural heritage through Art of Living and Vedic Sansthan practices? I urge the youth to look at their spiritual inheritance and cultural richness as a treasure that is waiting to be discovered. Art of Living and Vedic Sansthan provide the tools to reconnect with that heritage through practices like Sudarshan Kriya, Satsang, Mantra chanting, and the rituals they have that have sustained our ancestors for centuries. By incorporating these into daily life, not only do they foster mental clarity, emotional peace, and spiritual strength, but they also become active participants in preserving the Kannada language, its literary traditions, and its cultural rituals. The youth must remember the greatness of any culture lies not in how it is talked about, but in how it is lived every time you chant a vachana in Kannada, every time you perform sadhana, and every time you cook an Ayurvedic dish, you are preserving and continuing the legacy that our ancestors built with love and wisdom. Keep this spirit alive, and it is in your hands, Jagadev. So, Jagadev, the Art of Living and Vedic Sansan are not just spiritual organizations, they are active custodians of cultural and spiritual heritage. By using the tools of Sudarshan Kriya, Satsang, Ayurveda, Upanayana, and Guru Puja, combined with a deep respect for Kannada language and its literary traditions, they are ensuring that the wisdom of our ancestors continues to inspire and guide future generations. By embracing these practices, the youth of Karnataka can contribute to a sustainable and thriving cultural revival where the wisdom of ancient texts, the beauty of Kannada, and the depth of spiritual practices are preserved in their most authentic forms. Jagadev. So, in Bangalore, a city known for its fast paced lifestyle and rapid urbanization, many younger generations have become disconnected from their spiritual and cultural heritage. However, after conducting a series of Art of Living Sudarshan Kriya workshops and Kannada Satsang programs in the city, the response was extraordinary. One example is the Kannada Bhakti Satsang that was organized at a local Art of Living center in Jayanagar, which is a cultural heartland in Bangalore. The program was designed to fuse spiritual practices like Sudarshan Kriya, bhajans, or devotional songs and Kannada literature. The youth participants, many of whom had previously distanced themselves from their roots, showed an incredible sense of pride and curiosity about their cultural heritage. In particular, during one Bhakti Satsang, the Vachanas of Basava were discussed, where the attendees could deeply connect with his poetry, and then a Sudarshan Kriya session followed, leaving participants with a sense of clarity, emotional calmness, and a newfound respect for the wisdom in Kannada literature. After the session, many participants shared that they felt recharged and reconnected with their culture. A 23-year-old software engineer who had been disillusioned by the fast paced urban life expressed how Kannada literature, when coupled with spiritual practices, helped her feel connected to something deeper than just the digital world around her. She started incorporating Kannada vachanas into her daily prayers and even began learning mantras in Kannada, explaining them to her family. In a more rural setting, a small town in Coorg, known for its rich cultural diversity and scenic landscape, we launched an Ayurvedic cooking program that included both spiritual teachings and culinary practices rooted in Kannada tradition. The program aimed not only to educate the community about Ayurvedic principles, but also to reintroduce them to traditional Kannada recipes and their significance in holistic health. The workshop taught participants how food is not just about taste, but a reflection of the balance between the body, mind, and spirit. Recipes such as ragi roti or finger millet flatbread, akki roti or rice roti, and neer dosa, the rice pancakes, were explained, emphasizing their nutritional value and role in promoting a sattvic lifestyle, a pure and balanced lifestyle in line with the Ayurvedic principles. After a few months, the community started seeing remarkable improvements. Local families, particularly the elderly, felt their energy levels rise, and the youth started feeling a deeper connection to their heritage. A woman named Sumati, who had been experiencing health issues due to stress and poor diet, was amazed by the changes she noticed after attending the workshop. She started cooking traditional Kannada Ayurvedic meals at home, incorporating spices like turmeric, coriander, cumin, and ginger, all of which have healing properties according to Ayurveda. She also introduced Sudarshan prayer to her family, and they all felt more grounded and connected to their roots. This workshop had a twofold impact. It's not only revived Kannada cuisine, but also helped bridge the gap between ancient Ayurvedic practices and modern health needs, empowering the younger generation to take pride in their cultural heritage. Another remarkable example of cultural revival through spiritual rituals was an event organized in Mysore, known for its cultural heritage and royal history. Here, the Art of Living team organized a Guru Puja ceremony in Kannada. It wasn't just a ritual but an educational experience in itself. The Guru Puja was conducted entirely in Kannada with explanations of each mantra and prayer line by line in Kannada. This was particularly impactful for the local community as it brought forth the rich tradition of Guru Tattva, or the energy of the teacher, and emphasized how knowledge is passed on from generation to generation. Through Guru Puja, people were able to reconnect with their roots and understand the importance of honoring spiritual guides, ancestors, and cultural heritage. After the ceremony, an elderly couple shared their experience, saying, I never thought I would understand the meaning of these sacred rituals so deeply, especially in my own language. They went on to express their gratitude that the ceremony allowed them to pass on this knowledge to their children in a way that felt authentic, grounded, and meaningful. In addition to spiritual practices, yoga and meditation have played a significant role in inspiring Kannada literary artists. We introduced a special yoga and literary camp in Hampi, which is known for its historical importance in Karnataka. The goal of the camp was to merge spirituality and literary creativity through the practice of yoga and the study of Kannada literature. During the camp, participants practice Padmasadhana, a form of meditation and asanas that opens the heart, Shakti Kriya, powerful energy practice, and pranayama or breathing exercises, followed by sessions where they read and analyzed classical works of Kannada poets such as Ranna and Kuvempu. These poets are known for their rich contributions to Kannada literature, and their works carry deep philosophical and spiritual insights. The real magic of this camp was how yoga helped the participants access a deeper understanding of Kannada literature. For example, a participant named Ravi, a budding Kannada poet, shared how during a meditation session he felt an intense connection to his creative flow. The experience led him to write his first poem in Kannada that was both spiritual and philosophical in nature. He later attributed his newfound creativity to the spiritual practices he learned at the camp. Moreover, the discussions around the works of Kuvempu, whose Jivana and other writings delved deep into existential questions, were paired with mindfulness practices. These not only gave participants a better intellectual understanding, but allowed them to feel the poetry connected them emotionally and spiritually to their language. Jayavardhan, yes, one of the most successful initiatives in Mangalore, a coastal city in Karnataka, has been the Kannada satsang circles that have grown into a tight-knit spiritual communities. These satsang circles bring together individuals from various walks of life, students, teachers, housewives, and professionals who come together to sing devotional songs in Kannada, chant mantras, and engage in deep discussions on spiritual wisdom. Every Kannada satsang focuses on a different spiritual theme, often exploring His Holiness Gurudev Shishya Vishankarji's teachings, but always in the context of the local Kannada culture. The groups take turns organizing events such as Vachana readings, kirtans or devotional songs, and even Kannada poetry nights. Participants are encouraged to contribute by sharing their own compositions or by performing readings from classic Kannada texts. In these circles, many have felt a renewed sense of pride and inspiration for their language. A young participant named Anjali, a 17-year-old student, said after attending a satsang on Basava Vachanas, the experience was transformative. I had read Basava's Vachanas in school, but understanding their deeper meanings in the context of my daily life while practicing Sudarshan Kriya gave me a sense of connection to my roots that I never had before. Through these initiatives, Kannada satsang circles are becoming a divine force of cultural revival. They are revitalizing the language by infusing it with spiritual depth and creating a space for the next generation to explore both their spiritual and cultural heritage. What we are seeing in these case studies and success stories is the synergy between spiritual practices and cultural preservation. The tools and practices of the art of living under the guidance of His Holiness Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar Ji have created a holistic model that combines inner transformation with the preservation of language, literature, and traditions by incorporating practices such as Sudarshan Kriya, Satsangs, Ayurvedic cooking, mantra chanting, and yoga. The younger generations of Karnataka are not only learning how to live balanced, spiritually fulfilled life, but are also reclaiming and preserving the precious Kannada language and its rich literary heritage. The future of Kannada, much like any culture, depends on the effects on its people to recognize the timeless relevance of their traditions, engage in practices that connect them to their heritage, and pass on this wisdom to the next generation. By doing so, they can ensure that the soul of Kannada will continue to thrive, just as the vibrant culture of Karnataka has for centuries. Would you like to explore how these programs could be tailored to specific communities, perhaps focus on youth engagement and preserving Kannada culture? Yes, Jai Gurudev. So, in your experience, how does Sudarshan Kriya affect an individual's connection to their spiritual roots and cultural heritage, especially in the context of Kannada language and literature? Jagadeva Sudarshan Kriya works at a very deep level. It purifies the mind, balances the emotions, and creates a sense of inner peace. When an individual is calm and grounded, they are more receptive to both the spiritual teachings and the cultural aspects they were born into. In the context of Kannada, the practice of Sudarshan Kriya allows people to feel a deep connection to their traditions, whether it's through vachanas, or other forms of Kannada literature. For example, after practicing Sudarshan Kriya, many participants have reported that they feel more emotionally and spiritually aligned with the wisdom that is part of their cultural heritage. A powerful experience is often felt when they chant Kannada mantras or sing Kannada bhajans, because these cultural practices are now come from a place of deep inner peace and clarity. This means they don't just understand the culture intellectually, they feel it at an emotional and spiritual level, which deepens their connection to it. Can you share some specific examples of how Kannada literature is being taught or explored through art of living programs, especially for the younger generation? Absolutely. In Mysore, for example, we organize a special Kannada literature and wisdom retreat that focused on the integration of Kannada poetry, philosophy, and spiritual practices. The retreat brought together Kannada scholars and art of living teachers who are passionate about literature. One of the most impactful sessions was on Basava Vachanas, the teachings of the 12th century philosopher Basavanna. The Vachanas are not just philosophical, they are deeply spiritual and poetic, written in simple Kannada. During the retreat, we practiced Sudarshan Kriya and meditated on the essence of each Vachana, allowing the participants to deeply experience the meaning of these words. We also introduced interactive discussions where the youth could explore how these teachings can be applied to their daily lives, especially in managing stress and living with integrity. This made them realize that Kannada literature is not something ancient to be revered from a distance, it's a living tradition that speaks to their current realities. A 20-year-old engineering student, Anil, shared after the session. Before this, I thought of Kannada Vachanas as something we only studied for exams, but now I see them as a guide for daily life. I can feel the wisdom in my own life and have started practicing what Basavanna said in my daily routine. Jai Gurudev.